Good morning, everyone. Video take number 2 on my thoughts from this morning's studies. So I started reading As a Man Thinketh, and the thought that smacked me between the eyes today, this was just an awesome thought. So one of the things we talk about in our counseling is how suffering works and why we have what leads us to suffering. And there's an equation we use. Sorry, the sun's really glaring today. There's an equation we use that's based in Buddhist philosophy that says suffering happens when we have pain and we choose not to accept the realities of the pain, or we choose not to accept the realities of the situation. And that's the equation for suffering. The equation for freedom is pain plus acceptance equals increased freedom and decreased suffering, or decreased pain. In other words, the implication is that if we detach from what we expect things to be, if we detach from the idea that things should be a certain way, and we accept the reality that's in front of us, which is that life has a lot of painful events in it, that we can move towards having less pain. But if we choose not to accept the reality that's in front of us, then we suffer, because not seeing reality for what it is and trying to deny our pain is going to cause increased pain, which is suffering. And one of the thoughts from As a Man Thinketh today was that suffering is a function to purify us so that we can get back in harmony with ourselves. And I've never really looked at the function of suffering before. I've looked at the function of pain. I understand that pain has a purpose in my life. Pain reminds me of what's important. Pain reminds me of when I've made a mistake. Pain gives me connection to people around me. You know, if my wife hurts, or if my children suffer, or if my friends and family are going through things, that validates the connection I have to them. My pain is proof that they are important to me. When someone dies, that grief is there to prove to you that they loved you and you loved them, and that was something important. Or it can be the opposite of, that it's pain is there because you wanted to do things with your life, but it didn't motivate you enough. And then that is what leads to suffering. So, for example, if I lose my parent, and let's say we've had a fight, or we've had a falling out and we never made up, that pain increases when they pass, because I'm not in harmony with myself, and I'm not in harmony with my relationships. And so suffering has to have a function then. That means that suffering has to be a thing that we need sometimes in our life, because we're not always going to accept reality, and we're not always going to accept pain. Sometimes we're going to deny it on every facet. I can tell you, as someone who's in recovery from addiction, I am an expert at denying pain, and I do a lot of things to avoid pain at all costs. That is part of the addiction cycle, is that we constantly try to run away from the pain that is life. And yet, through my addiction, or through my recovery from my addiction, I should say, I have found a lot of purification. I have found a lot of connection to my higher power. I've found a lot of connection to my family again. I'm telling the truth often, if I can't say all the time, because I'm not anywhere near that, but I am much better at it than I used to be, that's for sure. I am trying to be a good person in all my actions, thoughts, and deeds. When I'm out of line, I want to get back in line with my values. I want to live my best version of me. And suffering was what led me to do that. And I don't know that I've given enough credit to suffering. I think I've tried to, I've looked at that equation, pain plus acceptance equals decrease pain and increase freedom and thought, okay, if I just accept, then I won't suffer. As opposed to saying, okay, if I'm suffering in life, what am I needing to adjust? And I think that's been a big struggle that I've gone through lately is I don't know that I want to suffer the pains of growth that I need to do to make myself the best version of me, to make my business the best version of itself, to make my marriage the best version of it. Because, pain sucks. We don't like pain. I don't like pain. I don't know many people who do. But I wanted to share that nugget with you that there absolutely is a function to our suffering sometimes. That at times we suffer so that we can learn how to get back into harmony with ourselves. And man, that's a powerful thing. That means that everything in this life is trying to move us towards the good. And we don't have to take things as if they're just constantly making us miserable. I can take my suffering and I can do something with it. And that to me feels very empowering. So I don't have to be afraid of suffering. And that was my aha for today. I think it's a powerful one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys have a blessed day. And if you're suffering, take a look at it. It might be useful for you. Thanks.